Sheila Sakashita, and I grew up in the Bay Area. And though I don't live here right now, I live in Hawaii, but I lived in the Bay Area until I went away to college. I was a huge Beatle fan. I remember we heard news reports from England that there was this fabulous band, and so we started looking for their music, like on the radio, and one station, KYA, 1260, was playing it. And so all of us had tiny little transistor radios back then. And so we all had them on 24 hours a day. And this was when we were like 13. And we'd all come to school and we had this disease that we called transistoritis, because I don't know if you remember, they had tiny little transistors. And so we never turned our radios off. And so we would sleep with our radios. And every morning we would come and we'd have those marks on our cheeks. So everybody in my class had these transistor marks because we never wanted to turn the radio off because they started playing Beatles music. And we found out that they were coming to California. They played 3 times in San Francisco. I went to all 3 concerts. 2 were at the Cow Palace. And then the last concert, which was we didn't know that it was going to be an event, but the last concert was on August 29th, 1966. And I was lucky enough to get tickets to go. I was such a Beatle fan that I knew I had to go, and my sister was an Elvis Presley fan, so she didn't want to go, and I couldn't convince anybody else to go because it was either too expensive or too far, or their parents wouldn't let them go to Candlestick, so I decided to go to concerts by myself. And I had no problems. I went into Candlestick by myself. I went into the Cow Palace 2 times by myself. So I was 12, 13, and 14 and went to concert. Okay. Now I was 14 years old, and I heard that they were coming again. I thought they were going to come to the Cow Palace, but it was announced that they were going to the Candlestick Park, where the Giants play. And I'm pretty familiar with Candlestick Park because my dad was a big Giants fan. And so when they announced that the tickets were going to be on sale, everybody was so crazy about the Beatles back then that we needed to make sure that we got tickets. So we had a plan. Our plan was we were going to stand in line and make sure that as soon as the box office opened, that we would get tickets. And I don't know how we did it for 3 days, but we stood in line for 3 days to get these tickets, and they were so expensive. They were about $8, which was a lot of money back then. Doesn't seem like a whole lot of money considering the fact that we just spent over $200 to go to the Paul McCartney last concert at Candlestick Park. But it was a big deal. So we all stood in line, and I think we might have done it in shifts. I think that's how we did it for 3 days. My parents thought I was absolutely nuts. I bought the whole outfit. We had white boots. We had a white leather hat. We had mini skirts on to go to the concert. But we didn't know that was going to be the last concert. Well, the performance itself was it was very strange because it was in a baseball stadium. And it looked like a baseball stadium. The only thing that was different was they were playing, I think, both behind second base or right on second base, and they had security fence all around them. So they were like caged animals, I guess. And then there were security guards because you weren't allowed to go on the field. Security guards completely on the field surrounding them. And I was behind the catcher's plate watching. And there was so much screaming, and then people, though, were trying to climb over the fences, which they were successful in doing. So they had to interrupt the show a couple of times because people would run and try to climb the security fences. And so a lot of it was trying to make them secure and make sure that the fans didn't go over the security. But I wasn't brave enough to climb over the fence to run onto the field. But it was crazy. It was pandemonium. We screamed so loud that we couldn't talk for about 3 or 4 days. We couldn't hear anything. And the crazy thing about these concerts is that everyone was screaming so much we couldn't hear any of the music. We didn't know that it was the last concert because it was just a concert that they were in San Francisco. They came to San Francisco every August. So this was their 3rd concert in August. And so they played their standard. They usually played 11 to 12 songs. A lot of people didn't realize that their concerts were only about 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It was no longer than that. But it was interrupted a lot because of people climbing over fences and trying to get to them, and people tackling, and people, I mean, there were like emergency vehicles because girls were fainting and whatever. And so then we were so excited, so the concert ended, and then I think it was the next day, they announced that that was the last concert ever that the Beatles were going to perform. And we were so upset, all my classmates in school were so upset when we found out that they would never play again as a group. I looked on the internet and I found out that Paul McCartney was going to do Candlestick Park, and I knew I had to go to Candlestick Park. And so I said, okay, to my husband, what do you think about me flying to California, to Candlestick Park, to see Paul McCartney at the last concert ever? And he thought I was crazier than anything. And he said, but you know what? You were there in 1966, so you should go to close out Candlestick. And so there I went. And it was great. I'm glad I was there. Oh yeah, it brought back a lot of memories, but it also was very, very sad. Number one, because you realize now that only 2 Beatles are left. I mean, it's just Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney. And that Paul McCartney is 72, although he gave a fabulous, fabulous concert. I mean, he sang 40 songs, 3 hours, no interruptions. I mean, and the crowd was crazy. There were so many people. It was sold out. And so it was so exciting. But it was kind of sad because everyone knew it was the last event at Candlestick Park, and Candlestick Park wouldn't be there anymore. And you also kind of wondered how long Paul McCartney was going to sing. But he sang, what was really nice, he sang from the very beginning, all the songs that he sang when they first arrived in the U.S. in 1964. So he sang some of those songs. He sang songs from Wings, and then he sang songs from his own album. So it was a very, very enjoyable event. It was a not to miss event. I was so glad. That's why this t-shirt that I have, I said, okay, I've got to get a t-shirt. And so I was standing in line, and it took me an hour, and I was so nervous because everybody would come up to the front line, and the t-shirts were selling out like crazy. And I got to the line, and I go, oh, I need one of those Paul McCartney shirts. And he goes, oh, what size? And I said, medium. And they said, oh, yeah, we have lots of medium. All the larges and extra larges are all sold out. I said, oh, okay, I'll get one of those. Candlestick Park, almost everyone in the Bay Area knows Candlestick Park. Candlestick Park is the home of the Giants. The Giants always played, that was their home stadium before their new stadium now. And apparently now, not now, but then it turned into both, Candlestick Park was both the Giants and the 49ers. And then they built the new stadium for the Giants, so then it just became only the 49ers. But I think the thing that was so historic about that concert that I went to in August 14th, 2014 is that it was going to be the last event ever in Candlestick Park. After the event, they're going to demolish it, and Candlestick Park will no longer be there. And it's sad because we all grew up with Candlestick Park. I mean, my father was a big Giants fan. Everybody has gone to Candlestick Park in their lifetime at least once, and we all remember the same thing. No matter what time of year it is, it's cold and windy. And it was cold and windy on the Paul McCartney concert, and it was cold and windy and foggy in the last commercial concert in 1966 that the Beatles played at. We were very sad. It was kind of nostalgic and sad when Paul McCartney ended his concert after 3 hours of nonstop entertainment, because we knew that we would never be sitting in Candlestick Park again.